Yo, how you doing? On a little early. I'm gonna wait for people to jump on, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, I hope everything is well with you. So let's just make sure everything's cool. That's weird. Anyway, all right. So there we go. Welcome everybody. It's been a while. Code Long and Profit. I have good news. I've been doing a deeper dive into the AI stuff. And long story short, this whole idea that coders are going to be replaced by AI and that's the end of coders, no, I do not. It's not going to happen. I've been saying this for a few years now. We're hearing about a lot of layoffs. I think it has a lot to do with other things. Hey, good evening, Kevin. How are you? See you. If you're new to the stream, come on and announce yourselves. Tell me from what part of the world you happen to be. It's always useful to know. And yeah, show camera switcher, no camera switcher. All right, good. Turn this off. Boom. All right. Hope everybody's well. So yeah, I've been looking at all the AI stuff. You may or may not know I've dealt with Docker and PayPal and some other people. I might become a co-founder of an AI startup. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm getting into the AI. I'm starting to. Thanks for letting me know, Kevin, that you can hear me. That's cool. It's true. Kevin knows the drill. So I'll wait for a few more people to get on, and then I'll just jump into it. Yeah, I hope everybody's well. So I've been looking at the AI stuff more and more and more. And I can tell you, welcome, Jose. How are you? Code Long and Profit. Yeah, I've been looking at the AI more and more and more, and it is it's just a new tech to leverage. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think it's a huge opportunity, in fact, massive opportunity. And I'm going to give you an example. As soon as we get about 50 people, 70 people on board, I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Essentially, for people to be able to leverage AI, you have to know what you're doing if you want to leverage it to build systems. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and there's different levels of using AI. And even on a primitive level, you still need to really know what you're doing. And again, I'm going to show you some examples about that. Yeah, hey, Gregory, how are you, man? What's up? What's up? So, I was just inspired because I've been doing more and more AI research because of, as I mentioned, I might become a co-founder in an AI startup. So I just wanted to know the space a little bit better. And again, as I dig deeper and deeper and deeper into it, there's a lot of hype out there where people say, look, you just do this, a couple prompts and the AI builds something and bing, bing, Bob's your uncle. These are not representative of reality. Experienced developers know that writing the code is just part of the process and actually a smaller part of the process. I'll get to the Q&A after I get into my discussion. I'm just waiting for, hopefully get 50 people on. Usually get, between 50 and 100 people on. So I'm just waiting for people to come on. If you don't mind, give me a thumbs up if you can. It's been a while. Okay, while we're waiting for people, I'm going to just say hello to everybody. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Mr. Jose, Mr. Lira from Brazil. Very cool. Cool. Hey, Greg, man, how you doing? See you this weekend. James from Myrtle Beach, hobbyist coder. Okay, cool, man. Hello, sir. I need to make a web app to connect two pics. What do I need? Thanks. I appreciate your help. To connect two pics? What do you mean to connect two pics? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I think I might get a 5K CRUD project. Nice. Cool. That's cool. Congratulations, man. Yeah, just keep working at it. Questions are coming in. I'll answer a few questions till we get enough people in here so that I can, I'll actually show you what I was looking at recently. Is it worth moving over to Django or Fast API instead of PHP frameworks? It all depends on the work, man. It all depends on the work. Do you have work with Django? First thing you do after you know your fundamentals, look at the job market. Start snooping around, start asking around. I talked about this in other videos. And that will help you decide when you become more mature as a developer, you'll learn to recognize that whether you're doing Django or PHP Laravel or Node.js, et cetera, and so forth, it's all project specific. Like I was just talking to my brother last week. He's a iOS developer. He's been doing this for many years now. And they gave him some Android apps to work on. Yeah, go fix this. And there's a couple of bugs in his Android app. Go fix it. He's a developer, so, he used AI to help himself out, He was using Claude, I think. It was Claude. Anyway, yeah, there you go. So what else we got? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. First time live. Hey, well, welcome to the live. Cheers. Yeah, for a streak, I was doing lives. Was I doing daily or weekly? I think I was doing daily almost. I was crazy. Aloha. How are you? All right, so how would do 30? Okay, I'm just going to jump into it, and if they come late, they can just rewind. So let me just show you what I'm talking about here, and then I'll do a little bit more Q&A for you guys. So we get rid of this. Put this in. All right, there we go. I don't know, can you guys see this? Let me zoom in this a little bit. Boom. Oh, okay. So this is, if you don't know, this is ChatGPT. So I pay for it just because I find it very useful in all kinds of different work that I do. I assume everything is clear, right? I'll talk about the new AI thing a little bit. I can't reveal too much because it's new. So here it is. So what I did, I was talking to ChatGPT, and I'm looking at the different AI implementations, basically different ways you can use AI. And the thing that really stands out to me right now is this agent development. Essentially, you set up a series of tasks for the AI to implement. It's called an agent, and it's an agent. And so I just wanted to look at agent development a little bit more. And it's its own thing. You got to think of agent development like, using, a client-side JavaScript library or something like that. It's kind of, So anyway, and so agents, first of all, I would learn that stuff if I were you. Somebody asked me before, should I learn Python Django versus PHP frameworks? I would say go into agent development. Learn Python, JavaScript, learn the basics of the web stack, and get into agent development. That is the cheat code, if you will, for entry-level jobs now. The entry-level developer is going to be the agent developer. And it's non-trivial, meaning there is some complexity to it. So I'm just going to highlight what I did here. Very simple thing, but you're going to see. Well, let me just get into it. So if you look at this, I said, give me a simple example where I would set up an agent to ask GPT to scrape the web for the Mag 7 stocks for that day. Mag 7s are Microsoft, Apple, Google, etc. So I just wanted it to set up an agent, so kind of like a bot, your own bot, to go out there and snarf up the Mag 7 stocks for the day. So it's not terribly simple. So this is the code, right? This is all the code you got to write. So the typical individual is not going to, this is all Python. I did it in Python. Well, it did it in Python. It's Python because it's py.py. Anyway, this is Python code. So there's a bunch of libraries in Python, and I'm just getting my head wrapped around this stuff. And it's just like any other libraries in modules in Python. These are modules, the long chain modules, allow you to create agents. And so the agents you create, and then the agents go over and talk to an LLM like GPT or Grok, whatnot, and you have it do things. So basically you set up your agent, you program the agent to execute commands, and it sends the commands to GPT. So instead of you going into writing all the scraper code, you just set up the agent and you ask GPT to go to go do the scraping for you. That's the difference. So instead of you going in there, so to make a loose analogy, it's kind of like an ORM, object relational mapping tool, whereas with an ORM, there's an analogy, instead of you writing the raw SQL code, you just call the ORM method. And the ORM behind the scenes writes the code for you. So now instead of you writing all the scraper code in Python to scrape a website to get the mag7, as I stipulated here, to get the mag7 stocks for the day, you set up your agent to make that request to GPT and then to push back the results. And it can get very, very, very advanced, very cool stuff. So it's hyper productivity. That's what it is. It's hyper productivity. So this is not trivial, right? It's not trivial. So I said, okay, so this is the code that it wrote for me. Now you have to understand this code, right? If you're not a developer, you're not understanding this code. That's it, you know? And, you know, you got the run button. It's not going to work, right? Because they didn't install the module. Now, if you're not a developer, you go, how do you install a module? Well, you got to open up your command prompt and boom, boom, boom. You got to. I asked it though. You know, I put together a minimal Python script using long chain that registered the SERP API-backed web search tool, initiates a zero-shot agent with GPT-4. So it's communicating with GPT-4. And then it prompts GPT-4 to fetch today's prices for Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, NVIDIA, and Tesla. So again, it says here, you just need to install these modules here. And then you got to set the key, and then you run the script in as you would any Python code. That's not something the secretary is going to do. You got to understand all this stuff. You understand modules. You got to understand Python. You got to understand all these things. It's not trivial. So this whole notion. So I said, I asked you just need to install LangChain, OpenAI, and Google search results. This is on my location, on my local Python install exactly. It says, yeah, exactly. If these are the Python packages you'd install into your local environment, here how you might set it up. So it's giving you the instructions on how to do it, but you still need to know what you're doing. So that is the basic point of this video. Let me get out of here. The basic, I'll close this too. One step's enough. The basic point of this video is that you really have to know what you're doing. Like if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to be able to work with it effectively. That's all I'm saying. So this is good. And that's just like scratching the surface. And that's the difference that if you are a developer, you have to get your head wrapped around it. It took me a few minutes to figure that out. You're not, as an agent developer, your code that you're writing, the Python code or the JavaScript code, whatever code you're writing to initiate and create your agents, you're not giving the step-by-step instructions to go scrape. What you're doing is you're giving the step-by-step instructions of what large language model to interact with, and you send instructions to the LLM to go scrape and return the results in a way that's you want. There you go. So that's the story. So I hope that simple example, just writing a simple scraper with AI using the cutting edge technologies, the Agentic, showing you that you still need to be a developer, right? So what we're just seeing the role of developers change. At one point, lots of people were writing code in Pascal and COBOL, and they don't anymore. A lot of people are writing ActionScript. I saw the rise and depth of ActionScript. All those ActionScript developers in around 2010, 2011, they all lost their jobs. Finito, poof. But they're programmers, so they just shifted into the new thing. So there you go. That's it. I just wanted to debunk that thing. So what is the roadmap to getting your first job as a developer? What is the roadmap to becoming super value? The roadmap is, number one, learn your fundamentals, whether it be the web stack or native mobile like iOS or Android. I would say go web stack because that gives you the widest range of job opportunities. And then what I would do is I would then learn agentic development, as I just said. You can find tutorials on YouTube. You can find, just go to ChatGPT and ask it. It will give you tutorials. That's pretty much it. And somebody points out, you got all this legacy code is out there, right? Yadin says, as long as the legacy code exists full of technical debt, 100%, and circumstantial design decisions that ended up being permanent, AI cannot replace us. No, it's not going to replace coders. I don't believe that. What it's doing, it's harming coders who would be writing boilerplate code, putting up skeletons, that kind of stuff. Those jobs are going away. Just like ActionScript programming jobs went away. Just like people who were building content-rich sites with raw HTML went away when content management systems like WordPress and Drupal came out. So yeah, this fear is not warranted. There you go, buddies. I hope that example I just showed you demonstrates that. You're not going to be a non-developer who's going to be able to do that kind of stuff. You have to learn Python. Yeah, so you learn your foundations, then you get into the agentic stuff. As you learn your foundations, you can get a course, or you don't have to, but you can get my interactive course, Studioweb. I think it's the best out there, but I'm biased because it's mine. You can do my web stack course or my Python course or my JavaScript course. Learn those things, and then as you're learning with my material, then do the use AI to help you out if you need help along the way, and then start learning the agentic stuff. Just go to GPT, boom, 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 or get a 10-minute agentic crash course and start understanding that stuff, because that's how you're going to get the job. If you have it on your resume, I know the foundations of the web stack, I know JavaScript and Python, and I can build responsive sites. And at the very top, you put, I also know agentic development. I've done this and this with agentic projects. I understand it. I've worked extensively with ChatGPT 4.0, 04 Mini. I've also used Gemini. I understand the Gemini tool sets. You don't have to be a master, but just get your head wrapped around it. You're going to be way ahead of the people who are trying to learn React or trying to learn Vue, which are good technologies. But I'm just saying this is how you get your foot in the door. Okay, let's see what we got. Avan says, the best example is how to get a vague requirement from customer, then build mocks. How will AI ever going to replace that? Well, that's a big part of it, Raza. Very good point. Something I talk about all the time. A big part about being a developer is not writing the code. It's extracting requirements from people, understanding what you can and cannot do, right? Client comes to you, depending on the project, do you use a WordPress? Do you go from scratch? Do you use a low code or a no code platform? Or do you write raw? What language might be best given their infrastructure? Are you going to do something based on Node Express? Or are you going to put a React layer on there? Or are you going to, so on? You get the idea, right? There's a lot of decisions, architectural decisions that have to be made. And so AI will help with that because you get opinions. But I've been playing a lot with AI. I've been playing a lot with with ChatGPT, and I tried a bit of Grok recently because they did some big updates. I want to try out Gemini a little bit more. And so I understand what their strength and weakness is to a certain extent, So yeah, let's see what Thunderstorm has to say. All right, I am an AI ML engineer. I can guarantee AI cannot replace front-end developers because web app needs so much customization. Backend will probably be replaced by AI coder first. Could be. It could be. At least it will speed up the process. Here's another point, a wider point I want to make, that I was talking to an old friend of mine who's a big developer. He works for a very large corporation. And when you look at our infrastructure, you look at the way big companies are run, governments are run, there's so much inefficiencies in the systems right now. There's so much that could be done to fix these things up and save us so much time. For example, I got to get my passport soon. I'm in Canada. I got to get my passport. And it's a job. Like, I dread it because I got to go. I got to go. I think I have to go into the office or something. And I haven't done it in 10 years, a 10-year passport. At least they did that. It used to be every 5 years. But it's just a big job, big headaches. Book doctor's appointment, get your passport renewed, get your license renewed. It's all kinds of things. Doing your taxes. There's so much wasted time. We could be spending our time much more productively. And I hopefully, the AI revolution with Agentic will really speed up things quite a bit. Anyway, there you go. Let me see what oh man, Grok is a mess. Yeah, I don't know too much about it. I just started putzing around with it a little bit on the side. I prefer GPT personally. I guess this AI tech can be put on your resume. 100%. It's huge. When people are like coming in with their, I'll get this out of the way. Hold on a second. When people are coming in with, they don't have this in the resume, and you do, knowing LLMs and understand agentic development, you're going to be a top candidate. I build photorealistic rendering engines using wave optics and path tracing on GPT. This herd of YouTube code influencers and their thumbnails. AI is about to replace your job. Makes me laugh. Yeah. It's the way things go. You got to expect this thing. Sorry, this thing's getting my way here. There you go. That's better. I like that. Hold on just a bit. All right. Always professional. All right. Yeah. What else? You've been worrying me lately, Stefan. Hope you're good. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. Why? What's going on? Hi, Stefan. I am a beginner in Python. I had a question. If I put time into learning Python and become quite good, is it possible to get a job as soon as 19 and this is AI revolution? 100%. As I've been saying, the example I showed uses AI. So learn your Python, get comfortable with it, and then start looking at leveraging Python agents, as I showed in the example early on in the video if you didn't see it. And become somebody who's a master using Python to interact with agents and LLMs. Your chances of getting a job will skyrocket. You're 19, you got lots of opportunities. So that's what you want to do. You want put a little sugar and spice on that, learn the web stack as well. There you go. You can check out my courses, Studioweb. Okay. What is the best way to integrate web development with LangGraph for clients? I don't know. I would have to look at that. The web apps and the web basically is the best or the most versatile. It's not the best. The most versatile deployment platform. So think about you have some AI-based use case. You deploy the result. You display that. You expose it to the user via web app. That's the point. Stefan's courses and mentoring are of a high quality in my professional life as a personal and business. To giving a 360 turn in my life is a before and after super recommended. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Alex, I keep going back and forth about the AI replacing software engineer for the next 10 to 15 years. I think we're fine, but who knows after that? I do think hand coding will be obsolete at some point. I can tell you this is normal, this progression, moving away from hand coding, all kinds of different things. Back in the early 90s when I started developing, we used to hand code a lot of things we don't anymore. I had my own mini ORM layer that I hand coded. I used to have to write my own libraries to paginate tables and so forth, to create calendars. There's a lot of things we used to do manually we don't have to do anymore. That's just the way it is. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Yeah, there you go. That's it. I hope this video, if you had any fears about coders being replaced or developers being replaced by AI, I hope this simple example shows you that to leverage AI, you got to know what you're doing. So keep doing it. So again, the pathway to becoming a developer, entry-level developer, to getting that first job. One of my hacks, my main hack is once you learn your foundations, go out and build something for somebody for free. Little things, 2 to 3 little projects, doesn't matter, just so you can show that you can actually build things. And the new hack is to learn agent development. That is highly recommended. Learn agent development, as I just demoed early on. If you haven't seen the demo before, hey, check it. How are you? Go learn agent development. After you learn your basics, you have to know your Python or your JavaScript to get into that. You gotta learn I would learn the basics of client server, web stacks, databases, hosting, servers, all these things you gotta learn. So yeah, there you go. That's it. This is just the normal progression of things. Again, let me emphasize, this is a huge opportunity for beginners. Oh, a point I wanted to make. We're seeing about all these layoffs, right? Microsoft lays off 10,000 people. IBM lays off, A lot of these layoffs are like middle management, HR types, right? A lot of beginners not being hired because the boilerplate code doesn't need to be written now. So if you're a beginner, you're 19 years old, you want to get into it, do your Python, then learn to use agents with Python. That will make you far more valuable. Far more valuable. Forget about building games with Python or just do the agent stuff. That's where the demand is. That's where the demand is. That's what I did back in the early 90s when people were doing VB5, VB6, the client development on Windows. The web comes out, 94, I built my first website. I started building simple web apps in 94, 95, 96, and I was one of the few. So there was I had tons of jobs were available to me with no background in software engineering at all. I had a psych background. But it was such a high demand that I could get all the jobs I wanted. I think most developers will be prompt engineers, more than manually coding stuff. Yeah, but even today, if you're an experienced developer, a lot of times when you're writing code, you're using an IDE. And with the code completions, you write the first two letters and you're configuring things. It writes all the code, It's just, it's further progression. What will happen now is what I think happened back in the day. Early web apps were very primitive by today's standards because we had to do everything from scratch. We had a lot of boilerplate we had to write. We had to reinvent the wheel over and over again. It was very difficult. Today, web apps are far more sophisticated because we have this infrastructure that we didn't have before. So I think we're going to see the same thing. I think applications are going to be far more capable, far more complex. Yeah, there you go. Another thing I would suggest that you get into is maybe wearables. I'm not a big believer in the big VR goggles. Those are going to be specialized. Commercial uses, maybe gaming. But I like the Meta glasses. They're stylish. You got the Ray-Bans. And they're getting better and better and better. So that might be an angle for you guys as well in terms of jobs. Anyway, I'll answer a few more points. If you have any questions, put them in there because otherwise I'll sign off soon. So please give me a thumbs up if you like the live, you like this subject. And yeah. All right, very good points. The interesting part is that my job as a front-end engineer hasn't changed that much, other than we now generate a chunk of our code with AI. It speeds us up, but not that drastically. Exactly. That's what I hear. Like I was talking to my brother, who the aforementioned iOS developer. So he was given the Android job to build. Well, he had to debug something, and he's a developer, highly experienced developer, not Android. So he doesn't understand the Android API. So he got Claude, and it's got agents built into it, as far as I understand. Claude is an app. And he had to go in there and start debugging things. He says, hey, there's a bug here, blah, blah, blah. And he had to help it out. Claude said, I'll try this. I'll compile, let you know. So it sped up things. So it was like my brother had like a junior dev. He said, go check this out. Go fix that. What do you think? Okay. But as he said, he still needed to know what he was doing, right? He couldn't be a guy who didn't know anything about software development and use this effectively. He had to know what he was doing. All right, guys, if there's no other questions, half an hour stream, not so bad. I hope it was useful. If you like the stream, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like my long hair, give me 2 thumbs down. That's pretty much it. Last questions, going on. Here we go. The best developers already use AI as a co-pilot, exactly, not a pilot. Those who learn how to leverage AI effectively will become even more valuable in the job market. 100%. That's all I'm preaching. That's all I'm preaching. Bloomberg, indeed, Glassdoor to cut 1,300 jobs and move to focus on AI. Yeah. Just like tens of thousands, I don't know if there's probably tens of thousands of ActionScript developers lost their jobs. Hundreds of thousands of VB6 developers lost their jobs. Thousands and thousands, not tens of thousands, of classic ASP developers lost their jobs. You see my point? So yeah, just move with the times rather than roll. Big opportunity. I'm a marketing guy trying to switch to development as I want to build my own tools. Any suggestions? Yeah, I would learn the web stack. That's the foundation. You should be able to, you can use any program or any package you want to learn that, or on your own. I got mine. With mine is interactive. Studioweb, links below. It's like $39 and you can learn on your own. It's very good. And you're looking at about 200 to 250 hours to get through that. You learn that, so you develop what I call the nerd eyes, so you understand the landscape. And then what you do is you do the agentic stuff as I demoed early on in this video, in this presentation. One thing I would do, or if you want to cut to the chase, just get my Python course, interactive Python course, learn Python, and then start working with the agentic tools that come with Python. You can get with Python. Does that make sense? All right. Great advice. Also, is it possible to get a job in this field if you don't love coding but you seek financial stability? Well, there's so many different types of coding jobs out there, like C++ engine developers or C developers for device drivers. Very different game, very different type of experience than if you are writing mobile apps in iOS or if you're doing web apps. So what I would suggest you do, what Lucky Sue should do is Lucky Sue should learn the basics just so you get your head wrapped around it, and then you're going to find the niche that's best suited for you. So, that's what you got to do. At the end of the day, what I do recommend as life advice, find something that's interesting for you. You don't want to go to work chasing money if you hate the job. It's going to be a painful existence. So I think that there's such flexibility in the software development world that you'll be able to find a job that's fun for you. I got into development from a business end. I didn't look at development as I looked at it as a means to an end. At first I had to struggle with it because I come from more of an artsy background. But once I got my head wrapped around it, I was fine. And what I found was I got great satisfaction building systems that people would use. And then the money was good. So yeah, I enjoyed building things. Very true. On one very positive note is that we've been more willing to create our own components for which we would have used a third party. For example, Clo can spin them up very fast. There you go. Things like carousels, for example. Exactly. They're just libraries. Instead of buying the library, you just spin them up, Thanks. I'm leaning towards the MERN stack right now. Whatever, all the stacks are pretty good, don't fall into the hype that this stack is better than that stack. It's like saying, what's better, the Porsche or, Lamborghini, Depends on your taste. Depends what you're looking for. Porsche or some SUV, I don't know. You know what I mean? You're going to find as you become a more mature developer, as you become a more experienced developer, you look at the different languages, the different stacks as tools that you have available for you. So if you're hammering a nail, you may have a favorite screwdriver, but better to use a hammer, right? So sometimes the MERN will be better than, Python Django. Or sometimes you might want to go native mobile, depending on the application. So that's how I would suggest you look at it. How to get hired as an intern. I told you, learn the foundations of development, web development. Again, you can get that done in about 250 hours, at least with my program. And then get into the agentic stuff, as I pointed out. in the example at the beginning of this video. That's how you do it. If you walk in and say, look, I know Agentic. I've worked with Agentic. I know how to use AI and leverage it and set up agents and get things done. Your chance of getting a job will shoot up 7,000%. Some big number. It's going to go up quite a bit. So that's what I would suggest you do. Is it possible to get internships, jobs in embedded firmware as a computer science student? Because those are usually done by electrical engineers. I don't know. Just call them up and find out. Call them up and find out. Do you think getting software engineering internships and jobs in the car industry will allow me to transition to robotics as a CS student? Right now, you're a student. Any job that you get that's related to technology is a good job. Now you're a student. This is time where you learn, you experiment, you're trying different things, you know? That's my suggestion for you. All right, guys. Any other questions before I let you go? Small group tonight, 58. I'll leave you one last lesson. Consistency is king. Consistency is king. I used to do consistent streams. I would get like 250, 300 people concurrent. That's what happens when you slack off. All right, if there's no other questions, I'll let you guys go. I'll give you about 10 more seconds because I know there's a lag time. 10, 9, 8. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for joining. If you missed the beginning of the stream, go watch it. I give you a demo. And we got a question. Here we go. I found a coach. I guess you mean coach from abroad. I will be doing 4 days a week, 1 hour sessions because I am stuck in a tutorial hell. I am in my middle age. Just a quick, realistic question. Yes, tutorial hell is very, very, very common. What I would suggest that you do is you just start building real projects. Find somebody. It could be installing a WordPress site, whatever, and explore the Agentic stuff and go on from there. Just start building things now. Or you can join my mentoring program. But if you got a coach, use him. Have a great rest of your day, Stefan. Thanks, man. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming to the stream. I just don't like images being used in tech courses these days. They look not really pleasing to look at. Well, there you go. How long from your experience would it take to be decent? Well, the key is if you jump into the cutting edge stuff, you just need to be passable, you know, if you do the cutting edge stuff. So if you get into the Agentic stuff, you just need to be passable. Or just go do some WordPress installs or set up somebody's e-commerce with PayPal. You just need to be passable to get your foot in the door. Like anything else, whether it be coding, whether it be martial arts, combat, whether it be business, it usually takes 3 to 4 years before you become like really capable, but you can get a job long before that, of course. Anyway, that's it. All right, guys, I gotta go make myself a meal. I hope this video was useful. If you liked it, again, give me a thumbs up, appreciate it. And let me know in the comments underneath this video what you thought, or if you have any further questions. All right, I'll leave you with my ASMR video here. This is Maine, a coastal town in the northern U.S., northeast U.S.